She walked onto the set like she owned it, that trademark smirk in place, her designer blazer tailored within an inch of defiance. The message was clear. Don't mess with me. This wasn't Duchess Meghan. This was Meghan Markle. Here not for small talk, but validation, maybe even a little revenge. But sitting across from her wasn't a deferential journalist. It was Howard Stern, radio's provocateur, the man who made a career asking the questions everyone else was too afraid to, and he wasn't about to bow just because royalty had entered the room in heels. The set of The View buzzed with its usual pre-show hum. Cameras shifted, cue cards were checked, mugs aligned just so. The audience, mostly women in their 30s to 60s, murmured excitedly about the morning's special guest. "She's in makeup," a stagehand whispered into his headset. And "she's got opinions." Howard looked up from his notes, a sardonic half-smile tugging at his mouth. "Good," he muttered. "Let's see if she can handle mine." The intro music hit. The camera swept across the familiar panel. Whoopi Goldberg, calm and commanding in a soft cardigan. Joy Behar, bright and animated in orange. Sunny Hostin, smiling with PR-perfect poise. And then, from stage left came Meghan Markle, regal, confident, and basking in applause like it was sunlight. "Joining us today," Whoopi began, "is an actress, philanthropist, podcast host, and of course, former royal Meghan Markle." Meghan waved, glowing, every move precise, every glance controlled. She sat, crossed her legs, and smiled at Joy, the kind of smile that could cut glass. Joy started light. "So Meghan, what brings you here today?" "You've got a lot going on." "I'm here to talk about truth," Meghan said, chin lifting slightly. "Too many women are silenced. Too many people don't have a platform. I think it's important I use mine. Responsibly." Howard leaned back, arms folded. "Responsibly? That's a loaded word," he murmured, just loud enough for the mic. Meghan's eyes flicked to him. "Excuse me?" He leaned forward, polite smile intact. "I just mean with a platform that big, every word echoes. Ever think sometimes silence might be more powerful? Then another Netflix deal?" The temperature dropped. "Wow," Meghan said flatly. "That's a very old-school male perspective." Whoopi chuckled nervously. "All right, let's keep it friendly." But Meghan wasn't done. "Howard," she said sweetly, the tone of someone about to draw blood, "you made a career saying whatever you wanted, no matter who it hurt. So it's interesting that you're lecturing me about responsibility." A ripple of ohs rolled through the audience. Howard didn't flinch. "Fair. But I also never claimed to be a humanitarian." Joy tried to jump in. "Let's talk about your foundation work." "No," Meghan cut her off. "Let's not skip over this." Her voice was steady but sharp. "What exactly is your issue with me, Howard? That I married a prince? That I refused to stay silent? Or that it's easier to make me the villain because I don't conform to your comfort zone?" Howard took a breath. "My issue isn't personal, Meghan. It's observational. You say you're fighting for mental health, women's rights, equality. All great causes. But then you package it in this misunderstood princess narrative. It's hard to tell where the cause ends and the career begins." She smirked, slow and deliberate. "That's rich, coming from a man who built an empire on shock value and locker room humor." Howard smiled thinly. "Touché. I never said I was a role model." Joy laughed awkwardly. "Maybe we can all agree everyone's evolving." Meghan rolled her eyes. "I'm not interested in fake niceties." Whoopi's brow arched. "Nobody's being fake here, Meghan." "Oh, come on, Whoopi," Meghan snapped. "This show doesn't ask hard questions. That's why people like Howard are invited. To pretend it's edgy while still serving coffee-table feminism." A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Joy froze. Whoopi leaned forward, her tone razor-sharp but calm. "Are you calling us fake feminists?" Meghan crossed and uncrossed her legs, visibly irritated. "I'm saying if we really cared about change, we wouldn't keep letting men like him hijack the conversation." Silence. Tense, electric, cameras rolling. This wasn't morning television anymore. It was a showdown. Howard laughed softly, the sound cutting through the tension like a spark. "You invited me, sweetheart. Don't act like I stormed Buckingham's gates. The studio erupted, half laughter, half discomfort. That's exactly what I'm talking about, Meghan snapped. You turn everything into a joke. This isn't funny. Howard's grin vanished. For the first time his tone flattened. Neither is monetizing trauma, Meghan. But here we are. Whoopi rubbed her temples. Let's take a quick break before someone jumps over the table. Joy forced a laugh. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back with Meghan Markle and Howard Stern, if they're still here. The camera faded to black. When the show returned, the tension hadn't eased. It had condensed. The bright studio lights felt harsher now, the air tighter. Meghan sat stiffly, one leg tucked under the other, smile fixed but brittle. Across from her, Howard leaned back in his chair, calm. The posture of a man who'd seen storms like this before. Welcome back, Whoopi said, her voice tighter than usual. If you're just joining us, you've missed a few sparks. More like fireworks, Joy muttered. Howard turned to Meghan. Can I ask you something real? I'm sure you will, she replied coolly, eyes fixed straight ahead. Why are you still so angry? Meghan blinked, then turned toward him, incredulous. Excuse me? You heard me, Howard said evenly. You walked in here with a chip on your shoulder the size of Windsor Castle. You're successful. You're free. You've got a husband, kids, millions in deals. So why does it still feel like you're mad at the world? The air went still. Whoopi looked down. Joy shifted awkwardly. Meghan gave a tight, humorless laugh. You think I'm angry because I don't smile and nod through every interview? No, Howard said, calm as ever. I think you're angry because you built your brand on escaping a system, but you're still letting it define you. That's not true, she snapped. He shrugged. Then prove it. Talk about your work, your causes, your plans. Not your trauma, not the palace, not the tabloids. Meghan's eyes narrowed. You don't get to tell me how to tell my story. I'm not, Howard said. I'm just saying, if you keep telling the same story, people start wondering if there's anything else. I'm not here to impress you, Howard, Meghan said, voice dropping like a blade. This isn't Howard Stern Live. This is The View. Maybe let the women speak. A low ooh rolled through the crowd. Howard raised his hands. By all means, speak. Just don't hide behind gender to dodge a real question. Joy jumped in, voice trembling slightly. Let's try not to make this about identity politics. Everyone's experiences are valid. That's the problem, Meghan cut in, turning to Joy. He doesn't think my experience is valid unless it fits his standards. And honestly, Joy, you're letting him dominate this table like he owns it. Joy blinked, startled. I came here to talk about my foundation's new initiative, Meghan continued, voice tightening. Not to be interrogated by a man who made his career humiliating people. Howard grinned. You're really struggling with someone questioning you, huh? No, she fired back. I'm struggling with the fact that someone like you still gets a seat at this table. And yet, Howard said smoothly, you're the one who hasn't stopped talking about me since the show began. Howard, Meghan, Whoopi cut in sharply. We get it. But this is a conversation, not a cross-examination. Let's all take a breath. Meghan folded her arms. Hard to breathe when you're being gaslit on national television. Howard studied her for a long beat. Gaslit? Meghan, asking you to clarify contradictions in your own story isn't gaslighting. It's journalism. You don't get to define journalism, she hissed. Especially not you. No, Howard said evenly. But I do get to ask what everyone else is thinking. That's rich, she shot back. Coming from a man who used to make women ride mechanical bulls for ratings. Howard nodded slowly. Yeah, and I've said I regret that. I've evolved. I don't pretend I was noble, but I own my past. You, on the other hand, seem allergic to accountability. Meghan's nostrils flared. Guys, Whoopi said finally, her tone edged with authority. Seriously, but producers are waving behind the cameras. Let's cool it down before we all make tomorrow's headlines. The audience was silent, breathless, every camera still rolling. But Meghan was on a mission now. You sit there pretending to be this wise truth-teller, she spat, eyes blazing. But you're just another old man threatened by a woman who dares to speak out. Howard laughed, low, amused, unbothered. Threatened? Meghan, I've interviewed Madonna, Whitney, Hillary, Gaga. Trust me, I'm not afraid of strong women. I'm just skeptical of people who confuse criticism with oppression. Scattered applause rippled through the audience, hesitant at first, then growing. Meghan turned toward the sound, her smile collapsing into disbelief. "Oh, so that's what we're doing now?" she said bitterly. "Clap for the guy calling me a liar?" "I never said you lied," Howard replied evenly. "I said you've turned pain into a product. There's a difference." "No, there isn't," Meghan shot back. "There's only ever judgment. That's all people like you know how to do." Joy tried once again to rescue the conversation. "Let's talk about your new documentary, Meghan. Tell us what inspired it." Meghan didn't even look at her. "You want inspiration? Fine. Try surviving the most powerful media machine in the world targeting you every single day. And still showing up. That's inspiration." Howard leaned forward, voice calm but cutting. "You also had that same media machine amplify your wedding, your projects, your causes. You can't praise the spotlight when it flatters you, and curse it when it doesn't." "I never asked for the spotlight," she snapped. "You married a prince." "Meghan," Howard said bluntly. The words hit like a gavel. Silence. The audience froze. Meghan's jaw tightened, her glare steady and venomous. "You think that makes it okay? That I deserved everything that happened to me because I fell in love?" Howard didn't blink. "No, I think it means you knew the rules, and then acted shocked when they applied to you." Whoopi shoved her mug forward, voice strained. "Okay, seriously, we're done here. This is not what the show's for." But Meghan wasn't finished. She leaned in, voice low and shaking with fury. "You're a joke," she hissed, a walking relic pretending to be relevant. Howard's reply was soft, almost pitying. "And you're a brand, wrapped in victimhood, selling empowerment while stomping on anyone who asks a real question." The silence that followed was suffocating. No one moved. Even the stage crew seemed frozen. Finally, Joy's voice broke the air, barely above a whisper. "We'll be right back." The screen faded to black. When the show returned, the energy had changed. No applause, no laughter, just a thick, electric unease. In the studio, phones were quietly tilted under tables, red recording lights glowing in secret. Joy smiled stiffly at the camera. "Well, it's been a lively morning on The View. We're back with Meghan Markle and guest co-host Howard Stern, discussing, well, a lot of things." Meghan didn't smile. She reclined in her chair like a queen surveying a court of jesters. "Let's not pretend this is a discussion," she said. "This has been an ambush." Whoopi folded her arms. "Meghan, you've had more speaking time than the rest of us combined." "That's because I have something to say," Meghan replied crisply. Howard chuckled under his breath. "You've said plenty. The question is, has anything changed?" That was the spark. "You know what your problem is, Howard?" Meghan leaned forward, voice like a blade. "You think sarcasm equals intelligence. You grin like the smartest man in the room. But all you're doing is bullying people who've lived through more than you can imagine." Howard didn't flinch. "I don't bully, I probe. I confront contradictions. That's what adults do when they talk about serious issues." "Oh, please," she snapped. "You're a shock jock dressed in NPR clothes." That one landed. The audience laughed. But not with her. The laughter stung. She blinked fast, visibly rattled. "Let me ask you something," Meghan said, turning to Joy. "Would any male guest be treated like this on this show?" Joy blinked, caught off guard. "Meghan, you're the one who called us fake feminists 20 minutes ago." "Because you brought him here," Meghan said, jabbing a finger toward Howard, "and let him hijack the message." "Meghan," Whoopi cut in, her voice sharp now, "we didn't bring him on to gang up on you. We brought him on because he asks real questions. You wanted to talk about your docu-series and we gave you space. But every time someone challenges you, you call it an attack?" Meghan shook her head, trembling with controlled rage. "This is exactly what happens. A woman tells her story and the world wants her to smile while she bleeds." The words hung there, raw and defiant. The audience didn't clap this time because no one knew whose side they were on anymore. "No," Howard interrupted, his tone unflinching. "The world just wants to know if the bleeding ever stops, or if it's just the trailer for your next exclusive deal." Gasps rippled through the studio. Louder this time. That was the breaking point. Meghan slammed her palm on the coffee table. The mugs rattled. "That's enough," she shouted. "I don't need to sit here and be patronized by a man who made a career off humiliating women, or by women who seem to have forgotten what sisterhood means." Whoopi rose from her seat. "Meghan, don't raise your voice here." "Oh, I'm sorry," Meghan fired back, dripping sarcasm. "Are we afraid of passion now?" "No," Howard said, still calm. "We're afraid of entitlement masquerading as trauma." The silence hit like a thunderclap. Even Joy Behar looked frozen. Howard leaned back. "You're just mad," he said, "that I didn't kneel when you walked in." "No," Meghan snapped, eyes narrowing. "I'm mad the media keeps putting old men on pedestals while dissecting women like cadavers." "You're not being dissected," Howard replied evenly. "You're being questioned. That's the cost of public life. If you want praise without scrutiny, start a fan club, not a talk show appearance." That was it. Meghan stood. The audience gasped again. "I don't have to take this. Not from you, not from this show." "Then don't," Howard said smoothly. "The door's right there." Whoopi stepped forward. Okay, enough. Let's de-escalate." "No," Howard said plainly. "Let her go. She's not here for a conversation. She's here for a coronation." "You're disgusting," Meghan hissed. "And you're exhausting," Howard replied. The studio fell utterly silent. A voice crackled in Meghan's earpiece. "We're going to cut if she leaves frame." She didn't care. She turned and stormed off set. The cameras tried to pan away, but not fast enough. Viewers at home saw the back of her white suit jacket disappear behind the curtain. For 5 full seconds, no one moved. The air felt thick, electric. Finally, Joy Behar exhaled, turning toward the camera. "Well, that happened?" Howard took a sip of water. Whoopi shook her head. "This isn't what we wanted today." "No," Howard said simply. "But it's what we got." The screen cut to the View logo, and social media exploded. When the feed returned, the studio was still in shock. Joy's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted her cards. "We want to apologize to our viewers for the unexpected turn of events." "A little heated," she added with a weak smile. "A little?" Whoopi muttered. Howard leaned into the mic. "Don't apologize for real conversation," he said. "You invited me here to talk, and that's what I did." "There's talking, Howard," Joy said carefully. "And then there's turning an interview into a firing squad." "I didn't fire anything," Howard replied coolly. "She came in expecting applause, not questions. That's not journalism. That's PR. And I don't do PR." Whoopi sighed. "Howard, I respect you. But there's a line between asking tough questions and provoking someone into a public meltdown." Howard tilted his head. "Then maybe the problem isn't the question," he said. "Maybe it's how fragile the answers are." No applause this time, only quiet tension. Then the voice of executive producer Brian Donnie echoed through the PA system. "Folks, we're going to take an extended break. Please remain seated." But Howard wasn't done. He turned directly to the camera, and the red light stayed on. "You know," he began, softer now, "there's something broken in our culture. When celebrities expect public sympathy as a form of currency." He paused. "Meghan Markle didn't come here for a conversation. She came for validation. And when she didn't get it, she performed the exit. Again." Joy winced. "Howard—" "No, let me finish. We live in a time where being offended is a brand strategy, where having a story is more important than having answers. Meghan doesn't want questions because questions crack the image she's monetizing." He leaned forward. "I'm not denying she's faced hardship. I'm not saying the monarchy isn't outdated. But at some point, you stop being a survivor and start being a brand. That's what people are reacting to. That's what I called out. And she couldn't handle it. The silence that followed was absolute. Howard exhaled. I didn't yell. I didn't insult. I asked questions. She called that cruelty. Think about that. Whoopi finally broke the tension. We'll be right back. The screen faded to black. So now the question is yours. Was Howard Stern out of line for pushing too hard? Or was Meghan Markle's walk-off just another act in a story she's told one too many times? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And for more explosive moments where the mask slips and the truth cuts through the PR, subscribe to Sci-Fi Reaction. Because next time, it might be someone else walking off stage.